Whoa, hello. Whoop.
Hey
Hey,
there.
Brady. There we are.
Hey, what's going on?
We're doing all kinds of crazy stuff today. So yeah, we've got here. Let me mute this. I am connecting from my Mac. Also, I've got my Windows machine hosting. We've got stuff all over. Welcome, Brady. You've been on a few times before.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. We are on the ASP.NET Community Standup. We are today going to be digging into API features for .NET developers, which is all kinds of stuff, right?
Yep. Sure is. Sorry, Hunter just pinged me.
Oh my gosh, it
Like
happens.
right at the same time. So, yes, we have been doing a lot of API stuff.
Why don't we use this time for me to show off those community links?
Yes,
okay.
Indeed.
Yep, there's good stuff today. So this time I kind of asked around in the community because, you know, we have a lot of kind of the usual suspects folks that post a lot of great stuff. This time I asked around like, hey, if you've got any cool links, share them with me, and got some cool new ones today. So let me see. We featured Anthony before, but Anthony Giretti, he's done some really cool blog post series on APIs and cool stuff there. Here he's talking about making options immutable. So that is a cool feature in just ASP.NET Core in general, is all the kind of things you can do with your options. And so here's the thing about, you know, pattern for using immutable options. You know, just a nice cool tip here. And we already talked about this beforehand. We're going to run through these kind of quick because we want to allow enough time for all the demos. So this is going to be a bit of a parade of fun stuff today. So we'll be going a little bit quick.
That's good.
All right. We've got Adam Storr, and he's talking about using Project Ty to run .NET Worker services.
Ooh,
and
things.
Yeah, so exactly. So Project Ty is really cool for like bootstrapping and running a bunch of stuff, and you know, part of the pain of running things that are like complex applications with multiple microservices and all that is just kicking it all off and orchestrating it and stuff. And worker services are also something that can be a pain to do right and to orchestrate, you know, correctly. So cool to see this, and it's neat to see. You know, I had assumed when I started playing with Ty that it was going to be all about the deployment and all about Kubernetes and Docker and all that, you know, cloud deployment stuff. It's all about local dev. It really makes the local dev story so much easier. So that's been really cool to just kind of learn here. So here he's talking about doing that, and I mean, super easy to do. What I was shocked by when I do you know, when I create services with Ty is like, I'm expecting I'm going to be writing 100 lines of YAML, and then it's like, no, like that's it. So here the only magic is using the worker template, creating it using the worker template, and then Ty run. It's like,
That's about it.
Yeah, so really cool stuff. So let me see. So Martin. So I just, you know, shout out to Martin and team on this ASP.NET Contrib. They do this OAuth providers thing. And so the thing we're featuring today is that already the ASP.NET Core 5 support. So with the RC1 dropping like just yesterday, they've already, you know, released the support for it. So what's really cool with this system is the team, and with a lot of help from the community, has these providers for all of this stuff, right? So doing authentication, and last week we had a show where we had the identity team on, and they were showing, you know, Microsoft identity.web, and they were showing stuff that primarily works really well with Azure, you know, and Azure B2B and B2C and all. But if you're using anything else, this is like a pretty good drop-in. And I mean, this is ridiculous, the amount of providers that they provide support for.
So are these providers that sit on top of Microsoft Identity Web?
Exactly.
Dude,
no,
awesome.
I don't think it's Identity Web.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it sits on top of the like the security middleware. Yeah. So it's providers at that level.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, we use, one of the great ways that you can use Microsoft Identity Web is like if you want to extend a Power Platform app or a Logic app and you want it to be auth, you could put that inside of your API and then the token just flows. So that's another option.
Yep. Cool. Well, one thing that I've seen over time is like with all these, you get the standards and then every single provider kind of wants to value add on top of it and they want to own your identity in just some special way, and so then they end up with, okay, well, here's our special implementation of OpenID Connect or whatever it is, right? And so it's nice to have these kind of tested things with regular releases. Like this is ridiculous how fast they got this release out. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And actually I'll switch these around just because it flows better. This is cool too. Damian Bowden, here he's got identity server for Vue Js. So Damian is another person who writing these great posts and updating them, and it's like, I've been guilty over time of like, hey, I'll kick out a post and then 3 years later, go check out the comments and be like, oh, shoot, like it got out of date and people are like not able to use it anymore. And Damien is just a star at keeping his stuff up to date. So he writes these posts here. You'll see this is 2019. And then he's gone through and updated it, right? So this is updated with all the new stuff. So just cool. Really cool to see that. Yeah. Here's a cool series from Fayaz, and he's doing all this stuff on GraphQL with .NET Core. So here he's at part 11, and just really cool to see. This is all, there's code for all of these, great. Like, so you go through and you dig in, and you'll see that there's actual code samples in these. So this is a really good, deep dive into GraphQL with backend code to match. So you'll see on all of these, they're all, here's the repository link, and you go in and you can see all this stuff, right? So
nice.
Great, especially if you're someone like me that needs to see the code to learn. This is a really cool series here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is cool. This is from Rahul, and he's got a series on YouTube, and it's just a really nice, series. This was recommended by the community, and it's great to see these. So these are a series of, 10, 20-minute videos, and just kind of going in and explaining really important concepts: middleware, dependency injection, logging, routing, all this stuff. Yep. So yeah. Great to see. This is cool from gosh, I just remember him as Papa String, and then I have to go and dig around because I forget his name, which is terrible. Mark Downey. I'm sorry, Mark. So Mark writing about .NET Monitor and collecting dumps. So we had Sebastian on, I believe, a while ago to show off .NET Monitor, and this is cool where he's talking about using that and just collecting dumps on anything. So just really, really great to be able to anywhere, collect a dump without having to go through and install and diagnose and stuff, especially if you're doing things like, cross building against Linux or whatever. Right.
Oh, that's cool
stuff. This is neat. This is an update for Ant design. So one of the neat things I'm seeing people do with Blazor is they're building components that wrap design libraries or design frameworks. So here, Ant design is something that I had not really dug into before. There's they actually have a really cool website here, and it's a bunch of different components. I'll close this out here. So a bunch of cool, just all sorts of components, like for instance, charts. And so, then I have to dig around a bit, but they have some really cool charts and all different kinds of stuff. So the team, let me see, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. So Ant design is also, it's a popular, just kind of a framework based thing, like information based form layouts. It's a whole design language. This was some of the stuff I was actually looking for before. So for instance, these components, and you'll see they have components for React, Angular, Vue, and it's neat to see also with support for Blazor here too. Very cool. So anyhow, let me see if I can quickly. Their docs here are really just nice, so you can go through and dig through all this stuff too. So I just love seeing these component-based libraries, and then people. Here's what I was digging for before. So people building out these nice libraries and then just wrapping, doing Blazor wrappings for them. So. Cool. Anchor navigation for Blazor applications. So Gerald writing about an issue you can run into where you're doing like an A tag element. And if you're doing fragment navigation, this whole fragment-based navigation is a new feature that's just been getting added into Chromium-based browsers, and that can cause issues, especially in case of a server. He talks through the issues here, like in a server-based application, dealing with the SignalR connection. So then he talks about wrapping using a component and kind of simulating the anchor-based navigation there. All right. Few last ones. This is really cool. So I've featured some recently from David Brock, some cool posts on, I think he did Thai and he's done some Blazor. This is really neat because he's actually writing about CSS isolation. This is a new feature in Blazor that they just showed off when they were on the show in August. And he's actually written a good enough post and offered to just contribute it into the docs. So there's a pull request running, if you look in the docs as well, where he's actually, here he's written a blog post, but this is going to be converted into documentation as well. So the whole idea, yeah, very, very cool. And just, like blog posts are great, but they get out of date and they're like, there's only so many people that's going to read them. You get them on the docs and the amount of traffic those docs get is huge, and it's just so huge kudos to you, Dave. This is really, really cool. Really good post and explaining some of the stuff. Like we had the team on here and they were talking about how they kind of followed standard patterns that they'd seen for CSS isolation in other frameworks, other front-end frameworks. And so you get these kind of interesting looking IDs and stuff. So, then explaining just all the things about how the isolation works and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to see this turned into the full docs. And again, thanks, Dave, for contributing that. Two final links I've got for you. One awesome one from my teammate Nish. He's posting about a free ebook. This is Blazor for web forms developers. I see a huge opportunity for web forms developers who are used to building with components and setting properties and working with events and all that component-based development. Blazor is a really nice match, a nice fit for that. If you've never really just gotten the hang of Razor and MVC, and even Razor Pages doesn't feel natural for you, and web forms like moves very cleanly and maps very cleanly to Blazor. So we had Jeff on here recently talking about his components, web form components that help map things over. And then this ebook is incredible. So there's the PDF that you can download, and being very clear, like web forms are still supported. You got good web form stuff. You don't have to rewrite. You don't have to, change over. But if you do, there are advantages to being on the latest, greatest stuff. Blazor does some really cool stuff for you. If you do want to get on Blazor, then this is a great book for that. So there's a PDF. And then there's also all this online stuff and talking about things, state management. How do you map over from things like view state? How do you deal with forms and validation? And there are some Razor components that map over to your web forms components and stuff. But so this is great. This is official guidance. This is a full-on ebook. Really good stuff. So
that's cool.
Last one I got for you. This is the blog post on ASP.NET Core updates in .NET 5 RC1. Thanks, Stuart, for the happy birthday wishes also in the chat there. Yay. For folks that have been, following or regular viewers of .NET Community Standup, this is not going to be new surprises. You've seen these demoed on here, but it's really cool to see this all shipping in an RC. So here are all this crazy Blazor stuff, and you saw these demos in August. And then just some other cool things. I'm not sure if if we'll get a demo on something like that, and maybe something like that. So some fun API stuff, and then this blog post kind of goes into some depth. also some cool stuff with performance. So I'm excited to see WebAssembly continuing to get just keep cranking on that performance stuff. So anyhow, there's it's a long post, and we've been through a lot of these things on recent community stand-ups. I want to give enough time for Brady to show off his magic. So I'm going to switch over to you. But reminder for people that are new here or forget or whatever, I will be sharing all these links out. They'll be in the show notes. They will be in the chat. They will be emailed to your significant others. They will be they will be stuck under your doormat in the morning when you wake up. So cool. That is all the community links. Thank you, community, for doing awesome things. Over to you, Brady. What do you got?
Brady, how's it going, everybody? Happy birthday, John.
Thank you.
I was not able to get to the party store earlier this weekend, so I don't have any backgrounds or balloons or anything like that. So.
We were chatting about this. I was like, this is part of my birthday party to hang out with my friend Brady. So
I appreciate that.
This is good stuff.
This is good stuff. I have to applaud your bravery inviting me to come on your birthday. But it's funny. I think he's done 6 tech checks with me to make sure that if I have any surprises, he could figure it out first. But either he hasn't figured it out or I don't have any. So
I got to bring up the screenshot that I did from yesterday. And I got to share this out again. This is amazing stuff. This is what our first tech check looked like. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So that's me on the left and that's Brady on the right. And then I was like, are you messing with me? Are you? So anyhow,
that took a few restarts to clean up. It was rather frustrating considering like 2 hours before that, I had done the same thing with Mads. Everything was fine. So it's kind of weird. Water. What was I drinking? Water. So, yeah. All right, let's dive right in. Okay. Do you want me to share my screen? Let me do this. I have not used StreamYard, so
go ahead. You share your screen.
Oh, there we go.
Whoa.
All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is flip over to the blog post that I actually didn't know if John was going to show. So scroll down a little bit in here, and what you'll see is that we've made some pretty significant updates to the Web API template, or as I like to call it, the ASP.NET Core HTTP API template. So we've made some significant changes to it, some of which we've been talking about making for some time. We've essentially dialed in Open API by default. So not only do we include the swashbuckle ASP.NET Core NuGet package, but we also go ahead and wire it up in configure services, and then we wire it up in configure. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, if you're an Azure developer like me, one of the things that it means is when you right-click publish from within Visual Studio, we see that your project is emitting Swagger or Open API. And I'll just use the terms back and forth because, yeah. So in this particular release, the 16.7 and 16.8 release of VS 2019, we actually noticed that you've got a reference to swashbuckle ASP.NET Core, and we go ahead and we add this additional tick here on your publish flow so that the last step is we actually import that Swagger file into your APIM instance, and then you can use it in Logic apps or whatever else, any kind of integrations that you want to do. We've also enabled a better F5 experience. One thing that used to bother me in the old Web API template is you hit F5 and you get a blank page because you have to spin it up in a browser. And then we improved that a little bit, and we made the F5 be the get for your Web API. But when you start talking about posts, it gets weird. You know what I mean? So we went ahead and made the Swagger UI page the start page. So that's like a totally smooth, out of the box experience getting started. So any questions so far about that from you, John? You want to talk about it at all?
No, I'm not seeing any. Just Electric Havoc saying, Swagger default, very helpful to start out.
Cool.
So,
okay.
Yep.
What I'll do is go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, just great to see. Quick to get started and simplify things.
It really is. We've got a video of, it's about a minute for you to go from file new project all the way through, but I don't want to wank you watch a video. I want to show it to you. So what I'll do is I'll switch over here and then I'll log in if I can remember my password on there. And that's the other demo I want to show you that we'll get to in a minute. So for now, I'm going to hide that and I'm going to hide that. And what I'm going to do is just open up a new instance of VS, and I'm using the preview bits, so you're going to see some stuff that you'll eventually see, I guess is a good way to put it. So what I'll do here is just say create a new project, and I'm going to go ahead and do an ASP Net Core Web API project. I'll go ahead and click next here, and I'll just call it Weather Service. And I'm going to click next here, but what I want to point out is I'm going to change this to 5.0 preview, and you'll see here that it's checked by default. So I'm going to leave that checked because I'm a web API developer. Oh, and I'll put it in a different place. So
you got that checkbox because you had selected the web ASP.NET Core Web API template.
Correct, but let me be very clear, the 5.0 preview.
Yeah.
So that's only in the 5.0 RC1. So you can do this from the command line as well. You could do .NET New Web API. And if you don't pass it a true switch for the no open API switch, it's kind of a double negative. It's kind of like the no HTTPS switch.
No, it's true.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Don't do this. So
I do like,
we go ahead and just dial that in. So
one thing that's cool with those is that they do run on top of, like, it's all command line available, right? So it's stuff that's in the template, but in order for that to work in Visual Studio, you can do all this in command line. You can work anywhere with it. Yep.
Exactly. So what John's saying is if I go here and I say .NET New Web API and I do -H.
Can you blow that up a bit?
Yeah, sure. I think I can. Oh. Can I?
I think Control Scroll or
I'll scroll. Oh, just like that.
Yeah.
There we go. So if I were to, oh, go ahead.
No, that's good.
Okay. So if you see here, no open API, by default, it's false. So that's a double negative again. The idea is we want you to use open API if you're building REST APIs because it enables a lot of stuff. Cool. I joke around that ASMX files taught folks how to do description after the fact. Yeah. So, so if I were to look in the project, you'll see here just to show you the changes. So there's the first one. You get that project reference. The second thing is in Startup CS. We go ahead and we dial in. This is essentially the default. The default now is if you just use add swagger gen with no parameters, it'll actually imply v1 and then the name of your assembly. So that's a fix the awesome folks over at Swashbuckle made to make it easier to get started.
Yeah, because like just stupid paper cuts like that, right? Having to specify name of assembly. It's like, do I really have to do this?
Yeah. But if you wanted a version, this is where you'd want to do all that versioning, V2, V3, etc. So
okay,
to point that out. Now if I scroll down here, I want to kind of point this out. So you'll notice that this is inside of the is development block. Okay. The reason for that is I work with Barry Dorans, and Barry's very security minded. And Barry and anybody that's very security minded probably wouldn't want that description to be published to production. You know what I mean? He would also probably be very upset if we published the Swagger UI to production, because then you could log into it, and if there was no security on your API, you could test it out. So I just want to let everybody know we did this inside of the is dev block just to protect you if you forget to do the deployment. So there's that. If you forget to turn it off. So
I had a real quick question as you're doing this. So Destination Hub or Dub said they created a project yesterday and didn't get this. I'm guessing they likely. So you need to have, if you're doing command line, you should see that. Or if you're doing Visual Studio, you need to be running the latest preview, right?
Yeah, and I am running like latest preview.
Internal.
Yeah, internal. So I apologize if you see some new things here. Most of it's going to be in 16.8 that you'll see today. So I'm not too worried. But If you've got RC1 installed, you should see this by default already.
Cool. Okay.
So if you might want to check your global JSON, you might be running 3.1 and not know it. I do that sometimes. So.
Okay. Yeah, they're saying it was CLI .NET New Web API.
Huh, okay. Well, if you want to reach out, we can post my Twitter. Or we can talk about this on Twitter, or you can email and get a call. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to make sure it works. So yeah. Any other questions on this? I didn't want to switch to that and go into infinity mode again.
One other question was just, do you need to add Swagger Nugets or anything to the project, or is that's automatically included?
That's automatically included. If I go back over here to the Weather API CS Proj, you'll see right here, we've already got it. So
wonderful.
We've already had that in. And that was a fantastic partnership with the folks who run the Swashbuckle NuGet package. We work pretty closely with them. They've been implementing some fixes along the way to kind of make life easier for our devs. So anything like that, please reach out to me and I'll communicate it. Anything we have to the Swashbuckle folks. They're super responsive on GitHub when it comes to any issues that need to be filed. So I would always encourage you to go there because they're great.
Cool.
It's a great open source project. So
yeah.
And we're gonna. I know there are probably some NSWAG users out there. I've already sent Rico Suter, the person who owns NSWAG. We've got a couple of emails going back and forth. I want to eventually add support for NSWAG in this as well, so you can pick either one. So.
Cool. All right.
Any other questions?
No, that's it.
Cool. Here's the other thing. Okay. Other thing I'll show you that I'm excited about in here is I want to open up launch settings JSON, and you'll see here that we've got this launch URL set equal to my Swagger UI page. If you turn that off, you'd probably want to change your Swagger UI page. I'll leave it on for now. But the idea here is like when I hit F5, instead of me going to like a JSON payload,
404.
or 404, I'll go to a pretty UI page and I'll be able to party on it. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm a Kestrel person, so I'll just get a Kestrel and I'll hit F5.
Because that was always a problem in the past, right? When you F5 on an API project, there's no default URL for it. And it's
correct. You would just go to the get. In the old days, it was a 404.
Yeah.
And it became a plain white page. I like this. This is good.
This is pretty. This is nice. Yeah.
So now we can go here, and I could go and I could just click try it out, and then I can just hit execute, and you'll see the payload right here.
So that's so nice.
And what's super cool about it,
and that's all generated from your API. So as you update your API, it's going to keep up to date with that.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. I do want to talk a little bit about that in here. So let me get a breakpoint just to kind of show you what I'm getting at. If I go into here and I hit execute, there we go. So we're already, I'm already debugging. It's a lot easier than, having to open up, a third-party product or anything else. I can just go crazy. What I'll do here, just to be really lazy, frankly, is I'm going to take this code and I'll paste it here. And this is something I've seen a lot of people do. They want to get started with this, and they just something like
question here on the payload. If the payload is beautified or raw.
If the payload is beautified or raw, I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you right now. So it is. I don't think it is beautified on the output. If you look at the Swagger UI page, it will be beautified inside the UI. So
okay.
But if I were to just do a get on the API, no. Now I do have an extension installed in my browser that will format my JSON. So
honestly, I wouldn't want it to assume, like I wouldn't want it to change. You know what I mean? I'm okay with it doing that in like a nice Swagger UI, but not in the payload.
I'm with you. And it won't format in the payload unless you specifically go in and ask it to. But this is the Swagger UI.
Cool.
Doing that. Now what I can do here, and this is kind of cool, so I can go and see how it will show me the schema down here. And I'm not going to go through the process, but see, it's gone ahead and it prettifies my post as well.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So if I hit So if I go into VS, and I'll scroll down here, and then I go here, and exit here. So there we can mouse over this, and there's my forecast. So yeah, that's a lot easier than, open up a third-party program or
Very good.
or whatever.
Very good.
So,
I think you need to update your weather API to include air quality, but that's scope creep a bit.
that's true. That's true. And if you wanted to give somebody your Swagger, it's right here. It's right there in the URL. So it's right there in the UI. It's kind of cool. So you've already got that. And then if I were to, now I'm not going to do the whole publish flow, but what I would show you here is if I right click publish this and go into Azure, and I'd go ahead and create one. So I'd create a whole bunch of new stuff. I could go to create a new one here. Create a new API. Essentially, I'm not going to do it all right now. You'll get the idea. If I were to do a app service on containers, I could create the container registry, create the app service, and then since I've got that Swashbuckle ASP.NET Core reference in here, I'll see this API management light up, and I can go all the way out, which is nice because.
So for people that aren't familiar, what does API management add to just deploying an ASP app?
What does API management add? Okay, let me flip back over here. The first thing is this is my API management instance. It's currently empty. We'll get to that later. One thing that I can do is I could output, once I bring my API into API management, I can output it into OpenAPI v2, v3, or v3 YAML, and I can give it to you, and you can do things like generate clients for it. At the same time, I could use it in a logic app, so I could basically drag and drop my API into a logic app, and it literally shows me all the APIs and all the operations that I can call visually. And then when I were to kind of make a call to one, if you can remember, what's the visual programming stencil or something? It's kind of like you'd literally just connect the dots.
Oh yeah, like Blockly style, right?
Like Blockly style. You can't see it on here because this is a personal subscription and I don't have access to a Power Platform backend. But if I had access to a Power Platform backend, I could right click my API whenever I have one in API management, and I could say export. That would export it to Power Platform, and now I can go and I can write a Power app that uses that API. That's an area that I'm working a lot right now with the Power Platform team to kind of help developers extend their Power Platforms by building functions or REST APIs using Web API plus Open API so that you can ingest it in the APIM and then kind of glue it together and build complex workflows and whatnot.
Okay. One other thing, and I don't know anything more about it than just that I have seen it in the past and I just Googled it up real quick, but there's also some API management support for securing APIs too, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
Access management stuff.
Correct. I could go in using what's called API management profiles. I could go in and I could specify all the way down to specific users or roles in an AAD tenant. And I could say, these people have access to call this API method. These people don't. If you are, if you have a business, then your business is your API. Like I always think of Stripe, the credit card company. There's a lot of companies out there that their full business is their API, and people pay per call. If you're in that business, API management is great because what you can do is create all these APIs in API management, and then you can create what are called products and API management, and you can give people product, subscriptions. So you might pay $4 a month for 10 calls a month. You might pay $40 a month for unlimited. And I can put you into these different products and control access to the APIs based on your subscription to my product. So
this goes back to the whole, a lot of what cloud hosting offers you is, sure, I could write that code, but it's not my core business, right? So if I have an API and the API is giving real estate quotes or weather services or whatever, my core value is weather services and not managing subscription stuff, right?
Exactly.
So that's a nice thing I'd like to outsource and let somebody else worry about.
Yeah, exactly. If I might have a demo out here. So I want to open up my work Azure portal, which means chaos never
I'm
know.
sorry for surprising you with it.
No.
It's
That's
kind of a
that's fantastic.
useful.
I can show you one. Where do I have one? So what I'll do is I'll go over here to my Logic apps, and you see this order fulfillment flow that I have. This was kind of an experiment that we did to show opportunities for like Power Platform, Logic apps, and teams working together. So I'll just edit the workflow and I'll kind of show you the idea. So in this case, I've got another thing that happens. And when it happens, it'll fire an event grid event. So that event grid fires and it causes this entire workflow to actually occur. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I do is a couple of logic app steps, like I'll parse the event JSON. I'll initialize essentially an order ID variable. This is a store that's essentially getting orders from, like online orders. The first thing that happens is I'll call an Azure function, and that Azure function will put a card into a Teams channel that basically tells me, go check the inventory and make sure you have enough of this product. Okay. This Azure function is behind an APIM instance. So all I have to do is like go here, add an action. Right here, I would look for API management. Azure API management. You see that I have a few of them. If I click on Contoso APIs, I've got card functions and I've got orders, and I've imported the Swagger pet store into it. If I were to go here to online orders, now you see all of these web API methods that I can call.
See, I'm actually selfishly very happy to see this because behind the scenes, James Montemagno and I manage all these shows, and now we're doing shows like every day of the week. And James has hooked up all this stuff with Power Automate, and we have Planner, and we have all this stuff. But we hit limits of what we can do with those, and we really do need to build some API backends. And also, we could interact with scheduling things and all that kind of stuff. So this would be the place where we could hook into that.
It really is. You can do a lot here. And like what you saw here this was me calling a function. If I open this up, now this is when I'm calling my web API. I'm calling my function. I'm calling my web API. I'm calling my web API.
Yep.
So when people say, why do I care about API management? Well, this is a pretty good reason.
Yeah, exactly. And being able to like manage access to stuff and like what I find when I write, you can do that all yourself, but then half of your application is managing tokens and do this and then do this. And it's like, or not, like don't write any of that code and just let the platform handle it.
Exactly. You just tell the platform to do it. So this is kind of the idea here. And this was one of those stories where like this company already has their APIs. They want to extend their business capability to use Teams to like get messages when things happen in the store. So the flow seemed to be a good way to do that. So we just literally stitched all the APIs up, add a couple functions, and party on it, and all good. So it was exciting. You'll see.
Wow, cool.
You'll see that I have this thing open right here. So I want to flip to this tab because we've been also doing some work on the HTTP REPL. Now, I have not installed the REPL over here, so I can't show you that demo today. But one thing that we did in the project template was, we changed the root URL for the site so that it's Wax Swagger.
You showed that in the launch settings.
Exactly. So if you were to use the REPL and just kind of do F5 into the REPL, you wouldn't be able to CD through your API endpoints because it would actually hit the Swagger HTML instead of the endpoint. So we recently made a change to kind of complement the RC1 template change, so that if you have RC1 installed, so you've got Swagger on by default and the Swagger UI page by default, and you're using the HTTP REPL as like a browser, so when you hit F5, you just launch into the REPL. If you do all that, it'll just work. So Tim Mulholland worked a little extra once we figured this out. Like it's got to work out of the box. So we went ahead and put a tweak in there. We're thinking about extending it. So if you wanted to override it in your own stuff, you could. But we didn't want to give you these two great new features and have them collide. So
yeah, that makes sense.
So. But I'll stop sharing for a minute and see if there's any questions or if you have anything.
There's one, I'm not sure if this will make sense. I didn't completely get. Does this handle automatic retries like Poly? I'm not sure what the question's referring to, if that's to API management or to.
Yeah, is that API management or is that specific to
because that's a client concern, right? And you've been showing all the API concerns.
Correct.
So yeah, okay. So he's saying yes. So that would be API management.
I don't know if API management has built-in support for Poly. I do know that there's an idea of using API management inside of Kubernetes. So I think that's actually in either preview or G8 already. I'm not sure, but it's something we've talked about as well, like being able to incorporate API management types of capabilities inside of your cluster. So people that like API management could get the API. API service discovery type capabilities built in, but I don't know about API management in Poly. You could use the swashbuckle stuff that is in the current template, and you could enlist in the Poly middleware and those NuGet packages, and you'd be fine. They don't collide. But in terms of API management plus Poly, I don't know, but that's a great question. I'd love to talk to Ryan Nowak about it and see what he thinks.
Okay, so I think actually what he's saying there too is he says inside the designer. So that like actually inside the logic app. And I think that's more of a place where you can actually say like on this recurrency, or if it fails, like timeout, or you can set that sort of stuff.
You can have control over that. I believe you can specify retries when you're doing HTTP outbound calls inside of logic apps. I think that's one of the additional parameters that you can specify is the number of retries. I haven't done it, so I don't know. I wouldn't want to lie.
Yeah. I got it just while we're showing that, just because we're all nerds here, I got to share my. So this is a way, like behind the scenes, James has set 99% of this up, but we have all these flows going that will say, like, for instance, hey, we've got a show coming up at 10. So this runs every Friday, checks if we've got a show scheduled. If not, it figures out some variables, because there's some standard things, and then it actually creates tasks in a planner that we have. So then and then the way that I mark stuff off is I do it. Yeah, Cam's watching. You know that form. So when we fill in the actual form, then it like the next time that the scheduled task goes, it'll say, oh, we've already got one for that. So we've got all of these, because what we were doing every week was sending all these emails all the time saying like, hey, it's, we don't have your thing yet, or we're not scheduled, or do we have someone going for next Thursday or whatever it is. So we have all these things going on, and it's a little complicated because it's doing stuff like it creates tasks, and then we upload thumbnails and it uploads stuff into there. So the question, when you are calling the API, I didn't follow that. I don't know. Anyhow, so it's kind of fun seeing how, and then now like I've got some stuff where I do .NET thumbnails. So I actually have like a tiny glitch site where we go through and create these things. So, like the speaker and stuff. And so it's creating this stuff. And it does this with SVG and automation. Like it just creates, this is now a PNG. So it's just kind of dorky stuff, but it's kind of
that's cool.
Fun to automate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reason I showed that is because I can see some clear ways where instead of manual steps here, even we could hook in with API management and do a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Somebody just posted Zwiebel just posted API supports inbound or outbound policies. That's what I was alluding to, request an endpoint. And they've got some
retry as a category.
Yeah, retry as a category. So that's good to know. And they've got some cool tools wrapped around those policies as well. That's exciting.
So one cool thing, which by the way, you showed the Swagger UI, which is really cool. But then one thing you've been telling me about recently too is that there's actually built into Edge Canary, there's that kind of Postman sort of feel too, right?
There is. Yeah. Let me see if I can do that. Let me see if I can party on that real quick.
Just while we're geeking out on API stuff, this is something when you showed me that, I'm like, that's it. I'm on Canary.
Yeah, it's cool. It's actually out of Canary now.
Oh,
So
that's right. Now
main,
it's in dev.
it's in main now, which is kind of a good thing. I want to see if I've got it turned on. Let me see here. Hang on. Let me refresh. Sorry, John. That's not it. That is it. Oh. Yeah, I got it. I got it turned on. Okay, let me show you this. Let me get back to StreamYard. Sorry. So what John is alluding to is something that some friends of ours in the Edge Tools team have been working on. So this is the front end of that logic app that you saw a minute ago. If people start putting orders in cards, you're going to have to deal with a bunch of Teams alerts. So, whatever. So if I were to add some stuff here and then submit an order, you might see a team alert pop up here if things are working right. They might not be working right. So if I were to go here and just open up my network, not my network, but my tools, and just do kind of a quick refresh. So what you'll see is that the page loads. So this is a Blazor WebAssembly app. The page will load, and then it will do a API call, which you can see right here. So that's when I'm actually making a web API call back to my ASP.NET Core server host. Now,
yep,
I'm going to click that, and you'll see a nice little window pop up that'll show me, I can expand on the JSON if I want to. But if I go over here and I right click it and I go and I click edit and replay, now I can actually make a call right here. And if I wanted to, I can make a call to the orders API and I can get all of those orders. If I wanted to, call one and just get one order back, I could. But if I think I've still got it turned on. Nope, I don't have it turned on anymore.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
One other thing people might not see, down towards the bottom, there's actually an auth thing there as well, right? So what's really cool here is that it actually can preserve the auth cookies and stuff as well.
Correct.
And that often when you're doing whatever kind of testing, you've got to juggle all these auth cookies and stuff. So this is really cool to be able to debug against a live service even. It is. With your auth cookies set.
It is cool. It is cool.
Yeah.
Now what I'll do here, because I know my URL, so I'm just going to grab the URL here.
People are joking about your high-tech site that's selling DVDs and VCRs.
I guess. Hey man, gotta have context. So now this is weird. Okay, I'm just the team's been great. They've been really helpful. But did you know, John, that there is a command palette, much like the VS Code command palette, inside of the Edge tools?
I did know that, and the reason I knew it is because you can take screenshots with it.
Right. So I do.
Crazy. Yep.
It's crazy. So I do Command Shift P, and you'll see just like in space, this thing opens up here, and I can type open API. I just paste in, and I think I have to do it like this. And if I zoom out, let's see if I get lucky. Oh, does that work? That might not work. I might be doing it wrong.
So type well, so wait, what did you type there?
I just pasted in everything. So paste it in. Does that? I went like this.
What?
It's not gonna expand it, but it will parse the Swagger.
Oh my gosh.
That's the perfect.
So another thing, while you're in that command palette, just to show off, type screenshot. So I mean, you can use all different kind of screenshot apps and stuff, and you have extensions installed, but this is a pretty quick way to do. So sometimes I'll go in and I'll edit the DOM, delete out stupid ads or whatever, like format things how I want, and then just grab the screenshot right there.
Oh, that's groovy. I like that.
So,
that's pretty cool.
yep.
I'm annoyed that I can't make this work. There was recently an article that came out about this tool here, and Hunter and I had a couple conversations about it, and then we
yeah.
Yep, I didn't get it working. But kind of wondering if I do it like this. Devin's gonna ping me in a minute. Why are you joining my product? I figured it out. Sorry, but it's in there. I've seen it work, and it's cool because you've kind of got that API testing gamut like right here. You can party on it. So
yeah,
I thought it was fun. So we have ideas on how to use that. Now that you've seen it, if it gives you any ideas, feel free to reach out because we'd love to, see what we can do here. It's been a fun partnership. It's been fun to kind of experiment with what we could do there. So
well, yeah, and that whole thing you're talking about with the partnership is so great, right? Because nobody uses APIs just by themselves. Like it's good to have a REPL, but it's even better if you can work with it in the browser, right? And you can be like, you can do that integrated testing using the great browser tools instead of like everyone having their own separate tools and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Should we go on?
Yeah. Well, so I know at some point we wanted to show the connected services thing too.
Oh, the connected services thing. Yeah. We do want to show, but see, the thing about the connected services thing is that you need a public URL. Right? Like I would have to give you like a public URL. It's kind of a pain in the butt. Maybe I have a solution.
I sure hope so. Because otherwise we'll just have to wrap up early.
Yeah, we don't want to wrap up early. We can't wrap up early. So I have this experiment that I've been working on, and I'm calling it Tunneler because you know why. You have to call it that. So I've got this in a public repo. I'll share the repo out in a minute. But what we're doing in DevDiv is we're thinking about this idea of building a logic app or building a power app where the client is running on the open internet. And like I want to debug my API with that client calling it, but since that, you got to tunnel back to yourself. And there's a lot of different, solutions for that. We want to
like ngrok and
there's like ngrok, yeah. And ngrok's kind of the behemoth, but there's a issue with ngrok that a lot of people know when they use it. Like you never know what your DNS is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dynamic DNS unless you want to pay for it, which I do.
Yep.
It's a different conversation. So whenever I hit F5, I got to know what that URL is going to be. So that's kind of a pain. Nice enough is that the ngrok folks have a localhost API that I can call. The irony in this conversation. Who knew? So the idea with that is that I can actually tunnel my localhost connection, which I've just started a tunnel, an ngrok tunnel back up. But people want that kind of experience on F5. So what I've started doing is working on some code. I called it middleware at first, and Ryan Nowak thanked me immediately and said it's not middleware. But it's a host extension, I guess is what we're going to call it now. And you can see here that it hangs off the host. So you would go into program CS and you would put it after the build and before the run. And what happens is it'll configure a test tunnel using a series of builder arguments, which we're going to look at here in a minute. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just hit F5. And when I hit F5, what's going to happen is it's just going to spin up my my project and run it in localhost, and it's going to go ahead and reach out to ngrok and tunnel back and give me this URL. Let me do that again. Of course, that would happen. Demo fails. I hit the wrong button. Let me do that again. How can I do this without messing myself up?
By the way, so you're jumping back and forth between Mac and Windows here.
I am.
Are you running on a Mac with a Windows like
my Windows machine is right over there.
Okay.
So it's actually a real laptop that I happen to be running right over there. So at this point, what I've done is I've actually, let me see if I can do this and not crash everything. How do I do this, John?
Oh, you can right click.
Okay, there. So
Copies.
now what I'll do is I'll paste this in and I'll just go Swagger v1 swagger.json. I think that'll get us. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
So now I can take that and I don't want to do that. What I'll do is stop sharing and I'll flip over to Teams, which has all kinds of messages from Mr. Hunter that nobody else wants to see right now. I'll paste in that URL to you and I'll go back to StreamYard and you'll do something cool.
I'll do something. So here I am on the Mac. I've just copied that URL.
Yep.
Okay. So now, oops. So let's go ahead and copy. Let's switch over to here. So here I'm in, I'm on my Mac. I'm in Visual Studio for Mac, and there's this connected services thing. So now I'll do Open Service Gallery. And you talk me through if I'm doing anything wrong here. I'm just in a simple console app, right? This is not even like an API project or anything.
Exactly.
So, and this is available in VS Mac. It's also in VS Windows. And one other thing to point out here is there was Open API. There's also gRPC, which is pretty cool. So I'll go in and do add. And then here, again, tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Oops. Let's go. Oops. What on earth did I do?
Let's type Swagger, Jason.
Okay. And then I don't need to change the namespace or the options.
No,
but one cool thing with this is if I did, these actually come right from the command line. Did I drop for a second?
Yeah, you did. You did.
I did. Okay. Well, anyhow, that was in the tools. So let's go back over here. And now I just say add, right?
Right.
So I've got your Swagger. It's going out to the mighty internet. It's reading your Swagger. And I'm running VS Mac 8.8. I don't know if I have, I guess it doesn't matter. It's just Swagger. Because I don't have the latest, greatest .NET 5 RC1 in.
You don't
API
have that
reference added successfully.
Oh, it did? Cool.
I think.
Try up there.
So now if I go here to open APIs. Whoa, now here's the thing. I blew my
font
up enormously. But so there's that. And I don't know. It's still doing stuff, right? Because it's I don't even know.
Hit retry there. I don't know what's going on.
There it is. So I think it's still doing something.
It might generate. That'll be frustrating if that is.
Because I hear my fan humming like crazy.
I will say that this does pull down a rather large NuGet package.
Yeah.
So it that could be.
And this machine also is on it's on Wi-Fi. So
okay.
I don't know if so it's not going to be in build output. I don't know. Should I do retry? It's a little bit just hanging here. And again, like I'll make all the excuses. This is on a preview and I don't even know what the heck it's doing. And it's on Wi-Fi. Oh, that's interesting too. .NET Core. Here's the thing that it's showing over in the corner. Whoa. There's all the API output. Three packages added.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, did I drop for a while?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I'm not sure what's up today. Okay, so it's added. So now at this point I have So now I could go in and use it, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's all good. I don't know what you're getting in terms of that error, but if you go to Program CS, essentially what you should be able to do at this point is like, and I don't know what it called your namespace, but if you were to basically do console F1 and do a dot, we could see what objects you've got inside of that.
All right.
Because you can kind of discover the APIs and when it does the generation. Console dot, and then you see Swagger client dot, and you'll probably need to new up the Swagger client. So you want to create an instance of that.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should be it.
And then
Swagger.
I can do it.
Yeah, you have to do the thing.
No.
That's weird. We could do this later. That's not.
I could have added the using, right? Okay. And I should also build probably. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. And the parameters, we may need to set those.
There's no argument. It can base URL. Oh, I need to pass it a string.
You need to pass it a string, and it's basically everything I gave you up to the first whack.
So it's everything up to
there.
Swagger?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Without the whack, though, right?
Correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. This is very much unscripted. We're just going for it here.
We're just trying.
All right. And now it's still not happy.
What's the second? Oh, you needed a new HTTP client there.
So do I new up an HTTP?
Mm-hmm. You want to wrap that. You want to new up an HTTP client and stick it in there. You could probably just do a new HTTP client there if you wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
right here?
Bit, yeah. Yeah. Don't do this at home, folks.
No, this is completely just goofiness.
And then if you say Swagger client dot, yeah.
And I need some parentheses here. Right. Oops. Yep. Oh my goodness, John.
That's okay.
We'll
forgive you. By the way, if you're joining late, it is Mr. Galloway's birthday.
Yeah.
He's turning 29 today, so we want to celebrate his birthday. And all
right. Okay, so now I could call. So
it looks like it didn't actually get async. And you would literally you'd have to await it, but
yeah. And it's returning something, right?
Yeah, it will be.
String.
Really, you could. It'll be returning a complex object. Yeah.
So var return whatever.
Right. And you can't await here because you're not.
Yeah, I got to fix all that.
So, but all we care about is that if you run it, we'll see if you can actually hit that endpoint.
All right. Well, we'll see. I don't know about that.
We'll say, you should stop.
20. I like this. So we have a good happy 29th birthday. And then we have the good, 29 in hex. Thanks a lot. Okay, there we go. So there's something happening.
Okay.
Monkey's null. I think we should stop the demo there. What do you think?
Just hit run. Let me see. Oh, breakpoint. Look. Let me share now.
Wait. This is on your machine.
This is on my machine. So I'll share now. And now when I hit F5, now you go back to sharing.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Well, it
ran.
Oh, did I stop it?
Oh, you can do it again if you want to.
Here, I think I didn't have a breakpoint after that.
Oh yeah.
Whatever, we'll go boom.
Boom. And now I'll go over here and I'll just wait, F5.
And back to me. And there I go.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and it's out of, oh, there's my monkey. Here's my products. I got a drum machine.
Yeah.
I got a MIDI controller. So this is, just to run this back, because there was a lot of goofiness and typing and stuff happening. But what went on is pretty neat. You, on your machine, created a new API. Mm-hmm. You ran ngrok locally. Mm-hmm. And then you've got some Gasterware that's running, wrapping that. And it created that. And then you got your URL, your Swagger URL, mm-hmm. sent that to me. And then I just ran it, and I used this new connected services thing to add it. Mm-hmm. And it generated the client for me from the Swagger. So yes. Like in here, if we look at my code, this Swagger client is based on that Swagger definition.
Exactly.
So the fancy, so what's going on your side is pretty slick. Well, there's two cool things. There's the connected services thing, and then later, if I wanted to go in and manage this, like I can go into the configuration and redo it and stuff, which is pretty mm-hmm. cool. Mm-hmm. But then, or I can add another one. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'd have to stop first.
Correct. So we just got a great question. Isn't this like AutoRest? Exactly like AutoRest. In fact, there's another version of this feature that's an older version that's well hidden inside of Visual Studio on Windows only. That used AutoRest. It's still in there. This one uses some of the NSWAG stuff from Rico and some internal code that we wrote as well to kind of augment the code that Rico had written. But it's just great because we're using Swashbuckle to generate this Swagger document, and then we are using Rico stuff to actually generate code. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat.
Very cool. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, so the neat thing you're doing too there with like ngrok's not hard to use, but it's pretty cool that you're wrapping that in automatically. Can you show that again? The stuff you're doing there?
I totally can. What I'll do, I'm gonna go and share my screen, and I want to extend what I showed you just a little bit because demos are never finished, just like software. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close that down. I'm actually going to stop my debugger, and just to reiterate what I'm doing here is it's inside of program, and I just basically right here, and you'll see the tunneler code, which we'll get to a little bit more deeply in a minute. But the idea here is that this is a builder. I basically call a configure test tunnel. That's going to pass a custom builder, and then I just use extension methods that extend that builder. So
for there, you're using ngrok, but because of that syntax, I'm assuming that means you could be using something else to also handle that tunnel.
Yeah, I could indeed. So I've only written the ngrok one. There's a lot of other tunnels out there. If you use the ngrok style tunnel somewhere else, like a different product, I'd love to talk to you and see what we could do here. Again, this is just an experiment. This is literally just to start conversations. We want to build this inside of the tooling. But for now, I just wanted to have something to be able to kind of show like Jonathan Carter and some other folks that are going to be working on this, just to kind of get the conversation going. So this is just an experiment, just so you can party on it today.
Yep. And people are already asking, is ngrok a better replacement for Conveyor? And I don't, there's a ton of different ones out there. ngrok is really nice. I have used it a lot. But what I found when I was using it, there was no tool or ASP.NET API integration. So I was constantly going out and running a command line and then popping over and running my thing, and it's back and forth and back and forth. So this is really nice to, right when I run it, it's going to create that URL for me and launch it.
Correct. It's pretty cool because this really doesn't create the URL. I mean, ngrok is it's a service or an app. Like a lot of other people have a lot of different ones they could use. But the idea is I wanted to make it give people this kind of capability today. But there's actually more that I could show you. A couple of additional methods that hang off of there. So we talked earlier about API management. So you'll see that a couple of additional methods that kind of dangle off. And I'll go ahead and start with this one. And I'm being very explicit about each name. In my case, I'm going to be using the Swashbuckle generated Open API template. Somebody else might want to use the NSWAG one, or if there's another package I don't know about yet, they might want to use that one as well. But the idea is, in addition to having ngrok, now I want to spelunk into my code and all the middleware that I already have running in my app. And I want to use the existing Swashbuckle stuff to get out my Open API document. Well, why would I want to do that? Because the next thing I want to do is go ahead and inject it directly in to Azure API Management when I hit F5. Why would I want to do that? Well, you might be working on a Logic app, or you might be working on a Power app. I might be working on the API, and you might want me to F5 my API so that you could try your flow out and see if your flow or your Power app are going to work, and you and I can work together in real time. Because I'm kind of a real time fan. You haven't heard. Yeah. But what I'll do now is I'll just go over here to this API management instance, and just so you know, I'm not very trustworthy, so I'll just hit F5, and you'll see that there's no APIs, none at all. What I'll do now is I'll just hit F5. And since I've dialed all this into my host as extensions to my host, what should happen is that when the Kestrel starts, it'll host my app. The moment my app is hosted and everything is live, it tells my code that it's running. And then my code goes, oh, well, I'm gonna come back in and look at your API, and I'm gonna use the Azure SDK for .NET, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new API in your API management instance that you may have told me to go talk to. So what I'll do now is kind of that stupid pitch trick you saw me do a minute ago with John, but I'll do it here. So this is a case where I'm actually calling myself from API management, and you'll see that I've gone ahead and done the work. But now if I want to change my API shape around, I could go here and do Control K, is it Control KU? That's it. I could do that, and I could hit F5 again. And since I'm doing a creator update, any change that I make to my API, I don't have to go into the host code and change anything there. All it does is it regenerates that Open API using Swashbuckle, and then I take that new API and I ship it up, and there's the new stuff. So
okay, so just to make sure I'm following all this, this is an API you're running locally. Correct. It's using the Gaster where you're running, and we're going to create that. That's a new term. Yeah. It's using ngrok to create a publicly callable API. Correct. And then it's shipping this up to API management.
Correct.
And so now I could interact at the API management level if we're kind of collaborating together against the API management endpoints.
Yep.
And it's handling it. So you're running locally in debug, I'm running locally in debug, and we're both like coordinating using ngrok and API management.
You got it. Or whatever tunnel you happen to use, and extend the tunnel or middleware to do it for you. So nice. Yeah, that all happens automatically. Here's what I like about this part is that like I could work on V1 of my API. I could get it where I want it to be. I could party on it. Then I could go right here and I could do the publish thing that you've already saw me talk about. I could publish that out to an app service running in Azure. And since I've got Swashbuckle ASP Net Core installed, it's also going to do a re-import of my API. And what that would do is it would change this web service URL to be my Azure website's URL, but everybody that has my API management URL still works. Instead of them going to localhost, now they're just going to my deployed code. What that gives me the ability to do is to come in and do something like this, where I want to change my version because I might have some new breaking Gasterware changes that are coming in. So what I would do is I would add a couple of new methods. Again, Control KD, do this, Control KU, Control KU. which is a lot harder inside of RDP. Now you'll see that I haven't changed this. This is still the same, still only running in debug mode. Here I've changed my API to be a product 2 instead of a product 1. If I just go in here and I hit F5, what should happen is that I do all the same rigmarole. Just jump on my ngrok tunnel. Then I use Swashbuckle's existing middleware to go ahead and parse out the Open API. Oh, there it is. So I've got V2, which has 3 methods. And I've got V1, which only has 2 methods. So,
okay, so you can handle versioning. You could have one thing running in production. You could have your end client running against your version 2, and that's running, like here you've got it in debug. You can hit breakpoints. You can do all that stuff.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do this outside of debug. That would be bad. So yeah, don't do that.
That's really handy though, that API management giving you that kind of abstraction to be able to do that kind of stuff.
It's been fun. And if you want to party on the code, I'll share the URL here in a minute. I'm not going to open the file up on air, but you would go into the launch settings JSON, and the launch settings JSON is where you would set some environment variables. Those are the same environment variable names that are set if you're using the Azure CLI or other tools. So the implication is, hopefully, once I work a little bit more closely with John Gallant and kind of use some of his auth middleware in the middle, what'll end up happening is, if you have the Azure CLI installed and you're authenticated to an Azure sub, you would essentially configure this with your resource group and your API management instance, and it just uses that auth and you're off and running. So you don't have to do any additional config. That isn't the case today. You'll see it inside of the sample product API in the repo in the launch settings JSON. So that's just where I set it. And if you're interested and you haven't guessed it already, darn it, secret's been given away. What I could show you here is this URL, the Brady Gaster tunneler URL to my repo. It's out there. Feel free to take a peek at it. Give me issues, give me pull requests. Again, it's just an experiment. This is not in any way, form, or shape what we would be shipping if we were to be shipping something. If we were to ship something, it would definitely be more robust than this, and use existing tech that you're familiar with. But I'm open to ideas if people like it. So there's my thing. So if you want to find it.
Very cool. I mean, and that's part of the idea we do with this. The stand-up is, here's stuff we're working on. Here's some, stuff we'd like feedback on, that kind of stuff. So.
Exactly.
Great. Well, that was a lot of stuff. We've actually gone kind of long, so we should wrap up. I shared the link out in the chat, and I will add it to the show notes in the description and in the community links. So, wow, this was a lot of stuff.
Sure was. There's one other thing I want to do.
Oh, no, but wait, there's more.
There's more. There's
one more thing.
There's one more thing. I don't know how successful this one more thing is going to be today, because we're running a little. You're wrapping up a little early. I think you feel it coming, but I had a meeting scheduled, and well, there's Maria, so that's good. We do have a few people joining in, so that's good. Let me share my screen here and see what nastiness I'm up to.
Oh no.
Who do we have here? We got Maria.
Hey, Maria.
So let's see how many other people we can get in here. But we wanted to sing John happy birthday.
Oh, boy.
So everybody a meeting invite. But we're running a little early, so maybe they'll see the meeting invite and they'll hop in. So, but are you having a good birthday so far, John? What are you going to do?
I am. This is a great birthday. Whoa. I like your background, Maria. It's been a long time. We got to catch up soon. I am having a great birthday. It's been fun. So we celebrated. I actually share a birthday with my mom and my middle daughter. So all three of us have the same birthday today. And so on Saturday, we did a social distancing dinner or a lunch, and that was really fun.
Nice.
And today's been low key. I'm basically, after this, I'm off for the rest of the day. So that's
got it. That's cool.
Yep.
well, we had a few other people that were going to come, but I sent the invite for like 11:25. So.
Oh well, I mean, if we want to hang out, I don't mind.
do we have any questions?
Hurry.
We can answer questions. So.
Sure. Yeah. Do people have questions? Here, I'm sending. Somebody asked where these shows are at. Oh my goodness! Hey Beth. Woo! Wait, Beth is muted. Actually, Brady, I think if you've got audio coming through Teams, it's not going into the.
Is it not going in? It looks like it's going in. Oh no, it's not going in. Let me try this. Oh, where do I do it?
Brady does all the fancy things with the audio.
Where do I do it? Is it going to work? Device settings. Speaker. All right, try that again.
Hello?
Oh,
okay. It's showing something there. So now I think you got to go into virtual.
do I have to go in and turn it up? Oh, yeah. Try again. Say hey.
Hey. Hey.
It works.
It works. Hooray.
It works. That's good stuff. That's hilarious. You can put a DV cable. All right, try that one more time. Can y'all hear us?
I hear you. You have a cool echo.
I can hear you. I don't know if I can hear John.
I don't think you can hear John.
Oh.
They can't hear you. So. They can't hear you. All right. I guess it's the point where we sing, and even though we don't quite have everybody. Any other questions?
Any other questions? So there was a question. How do I enable Postman in Edge? So I think what they were saying was that cool demo you showed with the.
It's called Network Console. What you would do is you would open up the developer tools. So you would open up the Edge step. And what you want to do is you want to look. I think you hit F1. It's kind of a weird key count. I think you hit F1 and you basically pull up the experimental stuff. And when you pull up experimental, there's a checkbox that says Enable Network Console.
Cool.
And you can check that box.
Okay. Awesome.
So I'm wearing the T-shirt that's the poster Beth has in the background. It's pretty cool.
Oh, it's the code. Wait, you got to show it off. It's Brady. I can't see your. Oh, there it is. Very nice. Oh man,
it's good stuff. Okay. Hopefully they're on time. We got 1 minute. Oh, there's Hunter. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh no, Damien too. It's a raid.
It's a great echo we get there.
It's a little bit of echo. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
More humorous.
All right.
Yeah. I told you it was an experiment. Okay.
This is great. Brady, you got to show off so the guys can see. You got to show off your virtual audio cable setup.
Oh.
It's pretty wonderful.
Yeah, there it is. We talk, or is that play pinned back, which was your audio music. All right, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to John.
John. Happy birthday to John.
John.
Happy.
Oh goodness, there's Syed.
Dear John.
John, we all love you. You're amazing.
Yeah, John.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
What?
Thanks everyone. Wow.
Handsome and
I think Scott wins the awesome background competition. Hey Scott, how you doing?
Oh, Valor's here. Oh, they can't hear you. They can't hear you.
Oh,
they can't hear you. It's annoying. It's annoying. So, I'll tell them all. They can't hear you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, tell everyone thank you.
This
is really fun. Thanks, everybody. This is
Bye.
This is the best.
Cool. Take care.
Okay, well, I guess on that note, let's wrap up.
Wait,
Oh, whoa. Whoops. We lost them.
What? Oh, we lost them all?
We lost them all.
That's a good note to wrap up on. Thank you
That's
so
okay.
much, Brady.
No problem.
Totally appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
hype
Thanks
job.
for showing up. This was
No
super
worries.
fun.
Happy birthday, John.
Thank you, Brady. You're a good friend. Thanks a bunch. Bye.
Cool. Y'all take care.